25/8 is in the business of time. We help leaders of small and medium-sized businesses work smarter, not harder, so they feel like they have an extra hour in the day and day in the week. Go from don't know what I don't know to I can't miss this show, as we talk proven strategies, practical tips and insider insights from a diverse range of industry leaders. Make time to grow your capabilities and confidence with 25/8. So I always say that it's not about the idea, it's about your ability to execute on it. And entrepreneur and author Derek Sivers famously proposed that a brilliant idea is worth $1 and a great team makes it $1 million opportunity, but without execution, even a great idea has little value. On this week's episode of Make Time, I'm joined by Jessica Sammut, someone I personally know to be an excellent executor. We'll hear her story of how she juggles multiple businesses with 2 young kids, too much coffee, and a long list of ideas she's quietly turning into reality. I'm your host, Sam, and I'm passionate about helping you and your business thrive by working smarter, not harder. And thank you for joining me on this episode. Our guest this week is Jess, who I met last year when she participated in 25/8's Next Level Growth Program. Jess is an osteopath, clinic director, educator, and business coach with over a decade of experience in allied health. She's the founder of Whole Health Osteo and Rehab, a multi-site practice in Melbourne's north focused on patient-centered, evidence-informed care and sustainable practitioner development. Alongside clinical practice, Jess is the founder of Practice House, a coaching and mentoring platform supporting allied health business owners to build values-aligned, human-centered clinics without burning out or compromising care. Her work bridges clinical excellence, leadership, culture, and real-world business sustainability. Jess also works in tertiary education as a lecturer, examiner, and clinical supervisor, and is deeply passionate about mentoring early career practitioners and reshaping how leadership shows up in healthcare. She's known for her honest, practical approach and her belief that strong clinics are built on clarity, values, and people first, not hustle culture. You can see why Jess and I get along. And I think Jess has incredible energy, and I have thoroughly enjoyed supporting and working with her. So much so, we have an exciting announcement for you, but I'll get to that a little later. For now, welcome Jess to the Make Time podcast.
Thank you for having me. I mean, that introduction, it does sound like there's not enough coffee.
That's it. To the ordinary person, I think what you're doing is incredible. But let's get right back to the start. And
Sure.
You're passionate about supporting early career and practitioners. What made you get into this business in the first place, Jess? Where did it all start?
Okay, so it starts sort of a while back. I graduated from uni in 2014 and I moved straight away down to Launceston to work because I just was like, I just want to be really busy. I very much want to get my hands on skills. I need to be able to jump in the deep end, and that is on brand for me, jumping in the deep end. And it was fantastic, and it was worth every moment. I'd always felt like I had wanted to get into business, and even down there, there were some discussions with the owner around me potentially taking over that practice and a few other things. And so I got the taste early that I knew it was something I enjoyed, but it just sort of didn't work out down there. And so I decided to move back home, and I started Whole Health Osteopathy, and it was just me working out of my parents' spare room back at home. And I was doing that for 12 months. But there was always a lot of that language and that structure that had in mind that one day I could grow that into something that was more than me. I then moved into a sole trader working at an actual allied health space, not out of a house. And I did that for 5 years. And that was sort of over COVID and things as well. But being in healthcare, we were actually essential workers. So we were allowed to stay working hands-on. But again, it just really played in your systems had to be good, your structure had to be good, your time had to be good. But it wasn't actually until I'd had my first child who's now 3.5. And I really quickly realized I couldn't actually be the emergency phone call from childcare. My partner had to be, because I'm the one who was trading my time for money. I was with a patient. I was in the room with them. There wasn't room to be the person who actually answered the phone and could go and do whatever had to be done. And that's when I realized that I really needed to make that a reality, and what could I do and how could I get moving and started into having people who also could work under whole health osteopathy and grow more of a business and a brand that wasn't just me.
Yeah, that's the turning point, isn't it? When you are the business, essentially. And so,
Yes.
yeah, everything comes to you. And not that other things don't lead to it, but motherhood, I think, is one of the ones that makes you realize how much comes back to you, and that you need to do something different. Otherwise, you might break. But
you don't get to, because it's not until you're in it, you don't really know. You can know in theory, but in practice,
no,
you don't.
That's it. Applicable across the board. You don't have to be a mother to feel this. The business, if it relies on you, you definitely feel that pressure. And so, Jess, you're quite lucky, because, well, we say lucky, but you knew then to build something that was bigger than you. And
Absolutely.
So what do you think was the sort of defining moment? What do you think you have in terms of your personality or a skill that you might have that enabled you to think like that, whereas another practitioner might have just carried on?
There's one that comes to mind. It's burnt into my mind. So there was a moment when I was a really motivated graduate. I really wanted to be busy and liked and do a good job. And there was a moment at a Christmas party where I had gotten these 3 amazing homemade gelatis from a patient who had been coming to the clinic for a really long time. And the owner made a comment, so she probably never even has thought about it ever again. And that comment was, "That should be my gelati. He was my patient first." And I just remember at the time, and even now, just thinking, isn't the ego really interesting in that? When you own a practice or any business, but when you own it and you're investing in it, good staff and good people, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. And I just use that motivation all the time to remember that I only get something out of it if everybody is also doing well and being successful. And so for me, the notion that you would be upset that your team is doing a good job because of your ego, I cannot understand it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It is because it's for the good of the clinic as well.
It's for the good of the clinic. It's for the good of the patients. It's for the good of you and what your culture is. There's so much good that comes out of having good people that it gets so overrun by fear and ego and stress. So in terms of what sort of drives me specifically is I make a lot of effort to check my ego constantly and understand that if one of my talented, motivated, younger employees or contractors are doing well and doing better, that's the goal. I can't be the person who's also bringing in the most patient fees. I can't be the person who's locked in a room with patients all day, every day, because actually then you're not available to work on the business and mentor and grow everybody to empower that. You're just not available to do those things. Take away it, actually, you don't then have a saleable business down the track, because if you are the business in itself, that's a whole different story. but you don't even have the time or the energy if you can't allow other people to succeed and continue to work to empower and build them up.
Yeah. No, this whole podcast could be you and I just agreeing completely on everything.
Great. Love it. No conflict.
No, which often happens when we chat anyway. But for the audience's benefit, what do you think, Jess? What do you think's helped you, develop the business skills or the business nous that has enabled you? Well, let's go back to when you first opened an actual practice. So 5 years you were in someone else's practice. That was a trigger point when you realized that they were a bit jealous of your success. What happened next?
As in when I moved back to Melbourne. So the choice for me was to move back because I knew that it was going to be a commitment, and I just didn't quite have I wasn't from Tasmania, so I didn't have family or friends or anything that were really that deep core support structures. So for me, even though I wasn't quite ready to leave there, because it was only 3 years that I was down there, I was pretty convinced that I wanted to commit minimum 5 to 10 years before anything really. You can't really expect a great deal when you're building something completely from scratch. So I decided to come back a little early. And I think one of the things that I really credit, and I think this is almost like nepotism adjacent, is that my dad is an accountant. And so from the very, very beginning, I had good advice. We structured it that it was a company. So it was a proprietary limited company from the very beginning, which meant I was just structured in a way that could grow more naturally. I had a really good systems in place in terms of putting tax aside, reconciling my expenses, separating my business account from my personal account, things that just, I think, especially in the early days when it's just you, a lot of people don't prioritize the resources into setting up well. It's much harder to retrain and learn those skills than it is to just learn it at the beginning and kind of have things set up in a way that I guess makes sense and should be done, because it's going to help you grow and scale a bit more easily. So having that early, hugely helpful. But I don't really know. I think it just feels really natural to go, not every person has the same values or has the same approach. It feels like it should be common sense, but it's not. For me, it's natural to go, we all work together to really improve. And I hadn't had that experience necessarily. I just knew I didn't like how it felt. And I wanted to do something different.
Yeah. And then when we met last year, this was the point where you'd been offered an opportunity, multi-location. It's definitely growing. And then it's really it was navigating that next stage for you. Talk to us a little bit about what happened there and the opportunity and how you navigate through that, Jess.
Well, I think, to be clear, the first opportunity was through Whittlesea Council engaging, 25/8 and being able to have that 8-week course done as a grant that we were able to apply for. And that was the thing that really started it, because the fortuitous timing of working with that program and working then with you, Sam, and being able to talk these ideas out in real time, I think it really, even though at the time it did seem and felt too soon, being able to have those conversations and play that out and plan that out, I mean, it was fantastic. And so from there, what it actually was an opportunity for a different clinic. And it was more of a going through the books and assessing the viability of somebody else's business to then go, if I missed out on this, I'd be a bit disappointed. I feel like there's a lot of overwhelm, but the fear of losing the opportunity actually felt quite like I'd be disappointed, which I think is always the thing that tells you, well, then maybe you're on the right track and we look for a different opportunity, which is actually what we ended up doing. When I say we, I also refer to my partner,
Mhm.
Ben, because he's a big part of this expansion. So we sat down and said, okay, well, what other options are there? And so in the end, one of the biggest pieces of advice that Sam really you put to me was, how can you make sure, like, will this business be something that you can then have that replicate the feeling of your business? So is the space going to be able to be something that feels cohesive with the brand, and how important is that to you? And honestly, like, it ended up being extremely important. And so where we've been able to move to, we've now built 4 more purpose-built rooms, interestingly still inside a gym, because I think in the end we do offer a lot of those services that are take the clients into the gym space and work with them as well. But we've been able to fully fit it out in a way that actually still is almost a mirror to the experience of going into our first sort of clinic. The vibe and the energy feels very similar. The look is very similar. And so you're not confused about where you're turning up to.
Yeah. So either location, you'd get the sense that you get the same experience.
You get the same experience, exactly.
Yeah. And from that then, Jess, what else has it allowed you to develop for the business?
It's very interesting. It's really helped us develop our systems, and independence in ways. We have a really good admin, and again, learning to be a good delegator and to be a good teacher is important, because it's so easy to go, oh, I'll just do that myself. And funnily enough, recently, one of the comments that I'd made in part of our coaching was saying, I actually feel like I've got so good at delegating that when something actually had to come back onto my plate, I felt really like, oh, seriously? I have to do this job? Because it's become such a good exercise in trusting that there are other people who can be amazing at what they do for you to focus in on what you do. So getting good systems in place and recording those systems, so we have an actual record of those, so that when somebody asks, hey, how can I, apply for this provider number for this new location, for example, I have a document that's just send it straight off, and it's the step-by-step process, and those things are starting to be put in writing. It just allows for systems to become more streamlined, and when everybody has the tools, it makes them more empowered to actually do their job as well.
Yeah, totally. And again, there's only benefit to that. And
Absolutely.
often leaders will live in their head and make assumptions about what people know or can do, or the way that they like to do it. And I think actually a multi-location exercise forces you to go, what experience do we want to create when someone walks in? And how long does it take someone to respond? And, set those standards for what does your company, your business do, and get it out of your head and into documentation. And
Exactly.
I think, it then offers you this opportunity to really consider that as a business that's not tied to you. Tell us where you're at now, Jess, and how that's going, and what are you going to do moving forward?
Well, we open on Monday.
Yay.
So we're recording this on a Thursday.
Yeah.
By Monday, we will have patients on the table in the room. It is looking like a real place that you could work out of. Hence my background being a little bit of a construction zone, but actually it's over that way. And it looks great. And I think also that having the flexibility as well, it's almost just ready to pivot. There's things that we've got set in terms of this is how it is and this is how it will be done. And then there's other things that we don't want to be so rigid that you can't just learn, because at some point we all know there's going to be teething errors and there's going to be teething things, and being an open channel for communication and really emphasizing that to the team as well is, communicate with us. How has there been any blind spots? Have we missed anything? Is there something that's going to make this a little more streamlined for everybody as well? So it's very close.
It's very exciting.
It is. It's really exciting. It's starting to feel real. I made the comment yesterday that I was peeking over the overwhelm and starting to feel more excitement. Like it's shifting slightly, which is great.
That is great. What do you think? How do you think you've changed as a business leader in the last year, Jess?
Ooh, big question. I think particularly following that next level growth program, for me, it was giving more structure instead of feeling that things were just a bit noisy or busy or that you were dealing with just when it came to you. So I guess I kind of feel like I did stop feeling like I was winging it quite so much. And I think I've got a lot more direction in terms of how I want to lead my team from there as well. So a huge part of it was there is so much to be gained by empowering my whole team with the information that I also learned from that program. It's understanding that not every person who comes to work from you, like work for you, wants to then go out and take on the responsibility of running their own business with their own overheads. And if you can create empowered clinicians or empowered team members who feel respected and listened to and heard and valued, and they have the tools, a lot of them can really just do better in the nice space that you create. So from our perspective, we create a beautiful clinic. We create a space where they've got access to awesome tools, and, you know, we supply a really consistent set of, I don't know, like things to work with. We have good stuff for them to do, and they're supported, and they're allowed to contact their patients and build the client-patient relationships, which is the most important part of healthcare. Arguably, you know, building the human-centered component of that is massive. Not every single person in my team is just sitting there like timing, waiting to be like, when can I go and do this myself? Like, if anything, I think they're going, cool, well, I've got room to grow and build within this space.
Yeah, I think the way that you're doing that is amazing and will be an indicator that will show the success of your business and why it's a success already because of that.
Yeah.
But it also then highlighted another challenge was that, you know, a lot of practitioners go through their education, but they're not equipped. Perhaps they're not business minded in a sense that that's not for them, and hopefully they find a beautiful clinic like yours and someone to work with like yourself. But then there are a lot of allied health practitioners that get qualified, and you sort of come out of your qualification and away you go, but you haven't been given the skills or really the support you need to then create a business of your own. And
Absolutely.
it's really lacking. You know, we talked about it a lot, but yeah, talk to me about your experience, Jess, about what you've seen in that industry.
Yeah, I could not agree with you more there. And honestly, I think we sort of had touched on it earlier. This could be rinse repeat for many industries in actual fact. And in healthcare specifically, I think you see so many clinic owners who very much got into it because they fell into business ownership. You know, they themselves were either unhappy, so they thought, well, I'll just go and do it myself, or that was where they were from. You know, they might have been from somewhere that didn't have any clinics around, so they wanted to move back home after they had graduated. So suddenly they're going, well, I'll just start a business here. And especially something like osteopathy or something in allied health, you don't necessarily, or they didn't necessarily have a lot of competition because it has been a very small industry, and arguably it still is quite a small allied health industry. But as more graduates come out and you get more people who are genuinely motivated business owners, and then suddenly there's a little bit of competition, you don't just have free run of all of the people in the whole radius of your clinic just going, well, it's convenient, it's close, this is who I'm going to see. They actually have choice. The clients have choice. The patients have choice. There's actually things that now mean that they have to sit back and actually go, well, what are my values? Why did I start a business? Why am I in this And a lot of them haven't had that conversation. They just haven't wanted to look at that and go, well, what do I need to do as a business owner? How can I become more business savvy? How can I look after my team and pay my bills and create a profitable and sustainable business? And then this is where the flow often happens, that the mistakes often come into, well, I'm scared about paying the bills, which means I know that I can be busy and I can earn a lot of money. So they then lock themselves in a room and work all week with their patients, and then their team are feeling really confused. There's no structures in place, there's no support in place, there's no shared goal, there's no shared value, no one's aligned with these things. And suddenly all you're really doing is the only real value that's coming into your business is coming out of you and your patient experience. And then the turnover is high. And then you get upset because the people are leaving and you can't retain, and young people don't want to work hard anymore, and all the other things you hear on repeat in a lot of forums. It is a very, very common story. Like, I feel like I see it over and over again.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, we can see this in many industries, but allied health, I think, only because you go through this process of qualifying, of building this skill, this knowledge. And often there's just the one module that says, business, here's your business, here's a formula for going into business. And you sort of then, there you go, off you go, you learn to fly by yourself kind of thing. And then I think, like you say, it's sort of either the head in the sand or a way, the very caring profession most of the time, then taking a different way to do business, in that it's not very caring, or they think they should be something, should be more assertive, or that traditional view of top down kind of
absolutely
authoritarian,
KPIs, like
that kind of thing,
strict metrics. It almost, like, you could argue that the growth advice that has been previously tailored to allied health effectively costs your integrity in a lot of ways, especially your integrity as a healthcare provider. It's not for the faint of heart doing healthcare work.
No.
You have to have a certain level of empathy. You have to be a certain type of person. And so to feel that then the only way forward is to jump into a really sort of hard line business that effectively isn't aligned with any of your healthcare values can be very then confusing for those business owners as well. And of course, then their team, because they're being run like people managed in some high-flying corporate job, but their goal is to come in and work with people and help people.
Yeah, and then for the customers and what they experience as well, because you can sense when it's driven in that way. And
very much.
Yeah, especially where you've got wait lists, and then it might be that you're too busy in some cases. I know for certain allied health practitioners, OTs or speech pathologists, psychologists, huge wait lists, and you don't get communicated, your things get dropped, you get a turnover of different practitioners in that way. I just imagine if it is that they were able to build better systems and be more conscious and human-centered in the way that they dealt with their practitioners and their customers, it would be a very different situation completely. But is there certain regulations in your industry, many industries, but not necessarily in the way that you conduct business?
100%. And it's so interesting that you say that, because the things that actually are restrictive are often around advertising, testimonials, results, things that are pretty highly regulated. And then the things that you can do, which is build the client relationship, and actually, and funnily enough, it's the opposite. You actually aren't allowed to, or you can't own a patient. You can't prevent a patient from seeking a practitioner that they've got a therapeutic relationship with. And yet that's the thing that it seems to either not be invested in. They're not worrying about, empowering and really fostering that client relationship, or allowing their practitioners to foster that relationship, or they're trying to sort of gatekeep the client to the clinic in a way that actually doesn't even stand up necessarily like in court, because it's healthcare. So you're losing on both fronts there.
Yeah, the patient and the practitioner and the clinic itself as well. But that's definitely been my lived experience, seeing what happens in the industry from the people I support. So when we were chatting last year, you were really passionate about helping practitioners, build their skills, build change their mindset in a way to understand that it's okay to do business in a way that is more caring, that is more conscious of the people within your community, your ecosystem, your practitioners, your customers. And you've got multiple locations, Jess, so you just decided to add something else to your belt as well. Tell me about that.
Are we talking about our business coaching?
Yes, we are.
Yes, honestly, I love it so much. In the end, I landed with you and 25/8 and doing our, human-centered business coaching, which I love because I resonate with it 100%. And so now I run, also my side is Practice House. And it essentially is exactly what we've just talked about. It's got an allied health focus, very much tailored towards clinics and business owners in allied health, particularly around allowing them to reevaluate their culture, sort of reset understandings of their values, allowing them to build a practice, I guess, that they feel really proud of, not just something that they see as a way to make money. That's the byproduct, right? The idea is that if it's successful, we make money. But the bottom line is that can't be your only motivating factor. Finances and making money cannot be anybody's massive driving factor in respect to starting a business. Somehow, especially small to medium business, it's not like you're going, oh, good, I'm doing this for the money. There has to be something so much more inside of you that drives that purpose.
The roller coaster ride.
It is a constant adventure. But I really want to create, and ideally, I want to be the go-to person to help people understand their values, why they got into business, and also help them take, I guess, the ego out of the business ownership component and empower the people around them. And do that by leading with understanding what your core clinic values are, what your personal values are, clear communication. Where you don't feel that you have those skills, if we can't learn it, who can you have involved? Who can you delegate those things to, so that you actually understand not everyone is a great business owner, but you might have the resources and the motivation and you want to still own the practice, but you can't then micromanage your day-to-day operations. You need to give that to people who have those skill sets as well, and empower them and relinquish some of that power.
Effectively, in moving from practitioner who runs a practice to a business owner, you need to change that mindset.
Absolutely.
So that you see your business in a different light, essentially.
You do. Yeah. And you see your team in a different light. They are part of why you can scale, and you can only see so many people. You are genuinely tied into the constraints of time when you work with other humans face to face. So the only way to have that sort of scalable business anyway is to have other people also working. You have to be able to invest in them, make time for them.
I love that. I love the little make time reference there too, Jess. You've been trained very well.
Yes.
Perfect taglines throughout the interview. But
great.
I know I haven't paid Jess in any way, but what is exciting is for 25/8, it is exactly the same principle, in that in order for us to deliver more, we need great humans, great coaches that can support the businesses on our programs as well. And I can't do that alone. And I built the business on the premise that it isn't about me. It is really, well, in effect, it's about the business owner themselves and helping them become their own business guru, but being supported by an incredible team that can help them see and get the best out of themselves. And I'm really excited to have Jess on board as one of 25/8's coaches. And essentially what we're going to do, our next level growth program that kicks off in April, will have a particular focus for allied health practitioners, service-based businesses that really want to benefit from that change in mindset from practitioner to owner, that want the structure that we can really help pinpoint where it is that we can help them enhance what they're doing well and work on those things that will enable them to get to that place so the business doesn't feel heavy, it feels light. And yes, I'm really excited to have Jess on board. Yeah.
I mean, honestly, having done the program myself anyway, I was a huge fan. And I think one of the main things that Sam touched on at the very beginning of like the next level growth program was around the fact that it's giving you all the tools. So actually the opportunity to do this course was fantastic because it does give you all the different elements of how you need to, or what needs to be touched on and understood to actually run a successful business. But I think where I'm really excited to step in as one of the coaches for Sam and for 25/8 is because of that real lens specifically in allied health and being able to give it the little bit of extra attention that I think is lacking in a lot of programs, is just having someone who has lived the parameters that we also have to work within, and understanding that there are guidelines that we do have to work towards and how to really maximize the messaging. I understand. I get it. I get where the restrictions can lie. And sometimes those restrictions can feel overly prohibitive to making any change even at all. It's having that extra representation as a current practicing allied health business owner. I hope that would be helpful to people.
Oh, I definitely think it will. Jess, I think you make a great coach. And the reason 25/8 has a coaching certificate is because we couldn't find one that matched our standards in terms of what we want for the people that work and support the businesses that we do. And I think for me, I recognize this in you immediately, in your energy, as I said at the start, Jess, but that ability to remove the ego and to consider others. And I think helping others do that too is quite tricky sometimes because, it takes a little bit. We have to remove our ego because we're helping them do it for themselves. So it's thankless. I think I've talked to you about this before. It's kind of a thankless job because, at the end of the program, they've done it all themselves and like, oh yeah, this is, I'm really great. And that's what we want. Good. Yeah. Not that, Sam's a guru or Jess is a guru. It's really, about building them up and empowering them, and you were doing that for your staff, and that's exactly what we stand for, is empowering others. It's not a reliance on us necessarily. It's us being there to help them, to nudge them, to push them a little bit further, but also to understand, as you say, the realities of what they're going through, so that what we're helping with isn't pushing them in the wrong direction or, is really considered. And I think that's important for us, that we have people that not only are great in terms of their ability to coach a human, but understand, because they go through it themselves. They have a business, and a successful one at that.
Yeah. When you can see that it works, can be done, and it can be done successfully, it helps to sort of see that too, I think, because otherwise it's just theoretical and people are really scared to take that plunge.
Yeah, and so it's almost like a mentor coach kind of situation, because you can inspire others to do the same thing, because there you are and it's working and you've done it and and it's happened really quickly because
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
you've had the confidence, and then the structure and the
Yeah.
intention for what you're doing, and it's helped you
Absolutely.
get there quickly.
It's even interesting in terms of things like growth and sustainability from it. You know, that messaging gets word of mouth. We don't, like, I can't even remember the last time we even advertised for a team member. We get approached by people wanting to join the team. So when there's a lot of conversation and talk around, like, how do people find good people? How do people retain? How do people work with hiring and things like that? When your messaging is really consistent and the people are feeling good, and then they speak to people they know and you get a good reputation, even things like that. When you don't even have to put an ad out and you have an excellent group of people who are values aligned, I mean, it helps
Yeah.
show that it's worth
Yeah.
persisting with that.
Yeah. And without saying it's easy, there's an ease to what you're doing because of the work that you put in to develop the intentions around what you want to do and have the systems and processes to support it. So I'm really excited for you, Jess. It's going to be a great year. So what's next? I said right at the start, you're an executor. You've got a long list of ideas. We've got the Next Level Growth Program coming up in April. What's the next idea on the list that you're going to look to?
Gosh. I mean, I think for this year, it is really focusing this coaching is something I'm still really interested in pursuing. I would really like to get a good bank of clients who are really ready to reevaluate their culture and their businesses and work with them to help build successful businesses. From my perspective as an osteopath, I think what's good for individual clinics is good for the profession as a whole anyway. So I've also got some irons in the fire with the Osteopathic Association of Australia as well, because again, I think that even they also see the value in what I believe in, and again, see that as a whole that can be filled. So I guess for me, outside of just working on the business with my clinicians, really helping them to keep finessing, their skill sets and keep building whole health osteopathy, really it's actually about trying to get some good clients who actually are really motivated. Like, they understand that they do actually want to be in business, but they're missing something and they don't know where to start. So getting some proper momentum into the coaching with these clinics would be a great.
Yeah, I can totally see it. I'm sure we've got more than one Next Level Growth program. Also, I think Jess is a great coach, so I see her being beamed across Australia, helping many people across the year, as well as in one-on-ones too. But yeah, very exciting year. Yeah, no, definitely.
Really excited.
If you had a message for allied health practitioners, if there was a takeaway that you could give them today, what would you say?
Oof. Put on the spot for that one.
Oh yeah, sorry.
I think I'm just going to go back to my absolute favorite saying, and that is, if it costs my values, it costs too much. And so when it comes to it, I think that the biggest takeaway message is for everything to feel aligned and for you to feel good about the choices that you make or that you need to make, you actually need to come in and you really need to sort of work on that first, understanding your personal values and your business values, and building and making decisions based off that will really help you to make the decisions that you may have been putting off or may still need to make. That's probably straight off, that would be my go-to.
Yeah, brilliant. I love it. And if whoever listening would benefit from support, a structured process to do that, then we'd love to help. And the Next Level Growth Program would be perfect for you to develop that thinking, that process, the plan, the intention to take your practice into its next stage and move you from practitioner to business owner. And we'll share some details in the show notes. But that's it for this week's episode. Thanks for joining Jess and I on the podcast. And we hopefully will see you in a Next Level Growth program very soon.
Amazing.
Thanks, Jess.
Thank you.
Yeah. Just a really quick note at the end here. If you have been feeling a bit stuck or you're at a pivotal point in your business and you want support, guidance to build your confidence and skills to navigate this stage, build your business now, digital skills, build those systems that will support you to move forward and feel freer in your business, make it feel easier, then the Next Level Growth program is for you. It's 8 weeks of targeted support. With Jess and I, you'll get to meet us in the workshops and the one-on-ones, and we support you to realize what it is that you want from your business and your values, and ensure it aligns with what you want to do. We get incredible results through this program, so much so that the program won an award in 2025 for its impact on a local community. I'd love to have you on board. There is a link in the show notes which will take you to the landing page. We have some upcoming information sessions where you can chat to either Jess or I about what's involved, read through all the FAQs, but we really hope to help you move the needle in your business this year and help you go from feeling like you're constantly in it to being able to work on it and live a life and business on your terms. Hopefully see you in the next program. Thanks for listening to Make Time, a business podcast by 25/8. If you like the show, please take a moment to write a review and feedback on what you'd like to hear next. If you never want to miss an episode, hit subscribe or follow on your favourite listening channel. If you want to get even smarter, join our newsletter, community, or take one of our programs. Links down below. See you next time.